Okay, continuing to show what my research is diving into as I'm presenting the relevancy of the Armenian genocide as being a product of a secret cabal related to the Dutch East Indies that entered into the Theosophical Society. It's a big premise to start off with, but this is now the center of history, because now you see the world that she was born into. Because it was not just healing. She was born into war. This girl right here? Yes, she hosted healing and educational revolutionary time, really, because the Maria Montessori school was where she was a prodigy. The child being the educator, because Dora was so emblematic that people knew that she was the child of the cult. And that's something that is kind of terrifying because she is connected to something that is dark. I'm sorry to say. It's not to shame the whole entire cult, but I'm showing you that this esoteric network is very deep because her father was very powerful. A man of great ability, and he truly showed the demonstration of the connection that I'm trying to elucidate to you. Looking at the life of Karel van Gelder. So, that's Dora's father, and just diving into his life, you see such a wealth of information because there needs to be a biography on him. So who is the man or the woman who can do that? Because the Schiff family is a cabal, not that Adam Schiff, or my state senator for the United States. He is someone who probably knows about it. I never met him. I never heard him talk about it, but I know that he is an advocate to bring education that the Armenian genocide happened. So I'm not saying that he's already making a liaison in the community in case this comes out. It's something that needs to be taken into account. Because if his family name is that deeply connected to this cabal, it's very serious because this cabal was sending arms. They were involved in a black market. And yes, Armenians were a middleman because they were involved in merchant trade at that time. There were prisons for them, but also the Dutch East Indies had to work with them. In different cases, there was bribery and there was collaboration, but also I can see that there was vengeance if things didn't go according to the plans of the Dutch East Indies. So now we can speculate how the Armenian genocide happened. Because there was heavy investments and the Dutch East Indies was sending arms to the Ottomans to fulfill that genocide. Karel is someone not to be underestimated because he was the person responsible for establishing the telegraph networks all throughout Europe and into Asia at the time. He's a man of tremendous power. We're talking about a cabal that has a gross income of $7 trillion today. So, Dora was born into a lot of splendor, but she wasn't necessarily materialistic. So that's why it's really interesting that I knew about Dora when I was a little kid. I was in contact with her, and she did want custody over me. But I forgot about her for so long. So for only the last 3 years, I've been advocating, trying to get information out about her. Because I know she knew Hitler. This is a really long story, guys. This woman had a really long life. She was that powerful. So please buy this book. Start reading in between the lines and learning to read critically. Dora was foundational. So yes, she comes from this very powerful family. So I see that she was under a lot of pressure. And it's not a pretty picture, but I want people to be more aware of it because this is the real life cabal. And we have to stand strong against anti-Semitism. Do not blame Jewish people for this. Do not. Don't you dare. Because it's not that easy. The world's very big, but also such a small family can be so powerful. They were an anti-Semitic family. That is part of the evidence that I am showing. It's not a pretty picture. Because this Schiff cabal was involved in Thule. So, it's a terrible picture, and obviously it's a deep hidden history that's showing it all. That's all coming to light. So I will be doing the work and showing you how Carrel was involved just by going through his life between a 25-year period. The Dutch East Indies planter merchant family was very powerful, uniting the Schiffs, the Van Motmans, and the Van Gelders. Firmly established its root in central Java, their wealth grew astronomically in shipping, plantation logics, and connections with Batavia and European insurers. The impact they had on the elite was very powerful. Their wealth and shipping extended across empires. There was incentives to protect their cargo. Naval protocols were instituted. Insurance policies were implemented. Payments to local officials were granted. All within the year of 1999 were seeing that they had tremendous influence. And then the Second Boer War begins in October 11, 1899, intensifying imperial relations, with the militarization now of the British Empire against those Dutch settlers in South Africa. Terrible human rights abuses against those Dutch settlers today still need to be recognized happening. We're putting those Dutch settlers into concentration camps. So now I see how that word started to develop, and Dora was going to know that word by the time she was born in 1904, just 4 years later. This was all happening. Wartime routes increase, insurance costs skyrocket, and black market opportunities are now available. So, going into 1900, with the long 19th century, as it's called by many historians, because so many events happen, maritime threats are now a pivotal moment, because you're seeing that there's coastal piracy, and maritime contraband is something that is threatening the livelihood of this powerful shift von Motman Van Gelder family. So, looking at this is so important, because you see that there was need to establish now planters' interests in private security, political control, and extending extrajudicial and extra-legal means. Now we're seeing that Simba-Undorf, this mysterious lie that's not a real name, also Adam Alfred Rudolf Blauer, also not a real name. This is one of the brothers to Dora's grandmother. So now the speculative claim. Because we already know a Dora Kunz is involved with Simba-Undorf. It's not a stepsister. It's more connected that it's possibly a great uncle. The likely name for this Simba-Undorf is Theodor Schiff, who died the same year as Matt Adam Blauer. So, knowing that the so-called Adam Blauer was initiated to a Masonic lodge in Bursa, which isn't part of Turkey today. It's around this time, too, that he's in contact with merchants in Salonika. It demonstrates that there is a huge connection in this transcontinental trade, and the need to reinforce that through a secret society networking. 1902, shipping and commerce is a time where manifesting this is through a newly installed complex trade network in Mediterranean ports, extending into the Indian Ocean basin, calling and furthering the need to secure a railroad. By 1903, 1904, that is the pivotal moment where the birth of Dora happens. Also, a time when tensions between the Russian Empire and the Japanese Empire, the breaking out of that war. Looking at this is so important to see the connections of the several scholars overlap, the connection to the Young Turk committees and Masonic lodges. In the 1908 Constitution, the Young Turks drew from the secret society world during their revolution. So important to highlight this, that it can't just be explained in one video. It has to be broken up into multiple parts. But I'm just showing by 1915, we are seeing how the Dutch East Indies from Java is sending in arms to the Ottoman Empire to eliminate the Armenians. Because there is collective punishment due to just certain few pirates that were Armenians now being collectively punishing the whole Armenian population. So I will stop there, but I will continue to do more videos highlighting the deep connection between the Armenian genocide and the Dutch East Indies of the